Hey guys, it's time for another sell-off review. That's right, if you follow the channel for a while, then you know that a bunch of stuff is going up for sale, and Medusa here is one of them. I've taken the courtesy to let her face me and not you, because remember, if you look her in the eyes, you will turn to stone. Hey guys, Mr. X here from the Extreme Channel. We're looking at another high-end collectible. That's right, this is a 1/4 scale Medusa statue. That's right, if you don't know who Medusa is, she's pretty popular in mythology. She's even more popularized in films like Clash of the Titans. But Medusa used to be a beautiful woman that turned her into a half-woman, half-snake, and her face was apparently either so beautiful or gruesome, depending on how you read the mythology, that when any man looked at it, they would turn to stone. And as I said, this particular piece is 4 times smaller than what the real-life version would be, but as you can see, it's still a massive piece. And this is made by a company called ARH Studios. This is the only piece I own from them. And to be honest with you, I just don't own more because they didn't have a lot of pieces I'm interested in, although this one is pretty decent. As I said in the intro, this is a sell-off review. This is one of many pieces that I will be selling off. If you're interested in that or what other pieces there are, make sure that you've actually subscribed to this channel and you've hit that bell notification so you get access right away, as usually everything sells out pretty fast. Now the reason I'm selling her is she's a little bit too big.
That's what she said!
And she isn't placed well in my collection anymore. If you recall, for a while she actually sat right behind me on the table. One of the dangers of doing these sell-off reviews is before I sell something off, I'm like, you know what, I should review this on the channel because I never have. I look at it and I'm like, damn, I don't know if I want to give this up. And I've actually been accused before of my reviews are biased. So for example, I want to sell this one, so I'm going to make it look fantastic on the review. Well, there are some fantastic things, but there's some pretty bad things about this too. And beauty is always in the eye of the beholder. How would I have gotten such a hot wife if that wasn't the case? Alright, so let's kick it off with the review, and we're going to start as always with concept of this piece, which is amazing. You know, this piece is gigantic, and it's not just because of Medusa, but there is a ton of different stuff going on here that I absolutely love. Let's take a look. So there's so much going on with this base, and right now you're only looking at the front of it, but even on the back and the sides. But what you see here is a collapse of soldiers. Some of them are turned to stone, some of them are not. There's some Roman columns, it looks like, that have fallen, some weapons, some swords, some pots, some other decorative vases or however you say it. And her snake tail is completely wrapped all around. I mean, that's what makes this statue just monstrous and extremely heavy. It's wrapped around a giant stone column right in the middle that you can see from a few different sides. But I love how she's kind of wrapped up her enemies, and as you move up even more past her tail, you see another soldier that she turned to stone. Now there are a few different switch out options we'll talk about in design, but here she has her classic weapon, her bow, and then her quiver hanging on her back, and she is in a museum pose, looking very majestic, beautiful. And it's kind of this awesome concept of a cross between the deadly beauty, how she kind of ensnares her men, and I just absolutely love it. Another thing you'll see is her classic snake hair, as I call it. She actually has snakes for hair, kind of flying all over the place. One of the things you're also going to see during the paint and sculpt is on the back, it's very reptilian, so just her front has that human skin color. So I love what they did with this concept. It's very cool. They have a few different variants of this we're going to talk about, and all of them are very similar, but I think the concept on this one is one of the better ones because there's so much going on. So very impressive. If you're going to do Medusa, this is the way to do it. And for all those reasons, I think the concept's a 5 out of 5 on this piece. I wouldn't say this is the perfect Medusa statue, but if I'm going to do a Medusa, let's really show this. It encompasses her beauty, it encompasses her powers, it encompasses her, and a lot of story in the base. Now with design, that's where a lot of the problems come into play. As I talked about, her weight is just massive, so you gotta be prepared for that, which also sucks for the shipping. The boxes are 2 enormously giant and heavy boxes, so reselling this might be a little bit of a difficulty because of that. And then I also worry about breakages. Now I do have a minor, I wouldn't call them breakages, but I'll show you right here. So first thing I want to show you is right here. This isn't a breakage, this is actually a seam line when you connect her tail, and what's meant is this shield is actually supposed to cover it up. Now, the shield is connected to a mixed media. It's almost like a rubber band, and mine came off, so that's not the big deal, so I just set the shield there. The other issue is actually when I was moving this to the table, some of the paint flaked off right here in the back. Now granted, unless this is a centerpiece, you wouldn't see it, but a little bit of an issue. Now the last design issue is how this soldier up here sits in. He's loose. And it's more of a design issue than it is broken or anything like that. As I mentioned, they used some mixed media on the shield down here. Also, what's holding her quiver, this little leather part right here is mixed media. And when I say mixed media, I mean fabric or material. The rest is fully sculpted. Now, the other display option, I don't know if YouTube's going to censor me, but she has, as my children call, booby covers right here that are magnetized, or you can take them off. Since I have young children in the house, I obviously left them on. Let's get the size of her. So she does command a lot of space, obviously. You're looking at about just under 18 inches wide, and keep in mind the front would be the same, but this soldier arm reaches out quite a bit more. And she is just under 29 inches in height. So displayability is an issue with this because, you know, not a lot of people are all about Medusa. When you think of a statue collection, Medusa is not going to be a centerpiece. Now, as I said, there are two variants of this. This actually wasn't my first choice. My first choice was this piece right here, this rattlesnake one. While I like the concept on the one I own the better, I like the Medusa on this one better, also because she has the evil face. And then here's the other variant they made as well. This one I never was really interested in. I think if you took away from any of the size of this, it would reduce the concept, which is so awesome. So design, I think there's some good things and some bad things. I think it's a 3 out of 5. Very good, but nothing amazing. It is decently dynamic and complex, so I give them a lot of points for that. Now let's dive into the paint and sculpt, and just kind of a spoiler, I think the soldiers suck. Let's actually start at the top, and I think Medusa is the best part of the statue. The snakes look good. I don't think they look amazing, especially like the inside of their mouth. I think that's one of the probably the weakest part of Medusa, but I love how many there are and how it's kind of long and flowing like the hair. I think they did a great job on that. The stylized pattern of the texture on their skin looks good. This reptilian scale, and there's some variations in the green because there's so much green on this statue, so it doesn't look like it's too much. So really great job on that. And I love the back. One of the big problems of this statue, unless it's a centerpiece, you actually miss out on a lot of stuff, but I love how it's kind of a transformation. You see some human skin and then morphing into that snake-like leathery scale skin. She's beautiful. It's a great job on a female portrait, both the paint and the sculpt. I think they did really nice. Parts of me with the concept would want a switch out head like the rattlesnake Medusa, but I think this also tells a huge story. You see some of that transformation up on her shoulders there. The rest of her, great flesh tone, very pale as you would assume. She has these black nails. The paint looks okay on those. Hard to focus in on that. Then, here is her bow and quiver. I like how the bow, again, has kind of a scale effect on it, like a snake, and even almost like a snake head. That's pretty cool. I don't know why you display it without the bow, unless it was a space thing. The arrows are kind of all bunched together. However, this is in the back, but technically you could display it however you want. Quiver looks fantastic. Again, more of this flashy green scale. And speaking of the tail, so I like how there's browns, yellows, and greens all mixed in there, and it kind of runs up and down the tail. As I said, it really helps with that variation, so this isn't a completely all green statue. I really like the paint on the soldiers that are stone. Like, look at this. And to me, the sculpt on this is a lot better than the other soldier we're gonna look at. And you'll see some of that. Some of these down here, you don't know if they're old soldiers or if they're broken statues. A statue of a statue. But here's the other soldier, just for contrast, like I said. Not a lot of micro detail in this. I think the paint is a little wanting, but especially the sculpt. Now, they didn't over-muscularize him or anything, so it doesn't look bad by any means. It's just not my favorite. Now, granted, you would never see this part of it unless he was displayed up high, but even the blood effect there doesn't look very real. Here's some of the other decorative stuff throughout the base. Just a lot going on to that story. A lot of stuff you'll never see. So this is kind of the side view here. Even some of these snakes. A lot went into this statue. And then to kind of give you perspective, there's that part with the faded paint on the lip. That's at the back of the statue here. Weapon looks a little plasticky down here, and I think that one's removable, yeah. But the stone columns look nice. They did a great job with so many similar colors, just really kind of a variation. The paint's also really clean as well. Really sad to let this go, honestly. Sculpt, like I said, I think Medusa is amazing. I think they did a great job showing the beauty in her face. The snakes are okay, could have been a little bit better. Her snake tail is fantastic. The stone soldier looks great. This guy down here is just okay. I think the paint on this is between a 3 and a 4. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. Mainly because I'm trying to sell it, so maybe that'll convince someone to buy it. Sculpt. Again, I think Medusa is fantastic. I really like the tail. I like a lot of the parts of the base. I think the sculpt is, again, it's kind of between a 3 and a 4. So let's give the sculpt a 3. I think both of them are about 3.5. So there we go. We balanced it out. Instead of giving both a 4, I gave one a 3 and one a 4. Of course, these are all just subjective anyway. Now let's dive into value of this piece. Original retail is $1,200, which is quite a bit for a 1/4 scale piece, but there's tons going on. This is almost as big as a 1/3 scale piece. And they only made 100 of these. That's a very, very low edition size for a licensed piece. So that makes it very valuable. I don't see this piece up for sale too often. I'm probably going to price it right around retail, to be honest. I do know the rattlesnake Medusa goes for more than this. So I think the value is good. It's not a bad value by any means. For $1,200, you get all this going on, and if you have some kind of theme in your collection, for example, a lot of licensed pieces have made Perseus statues, it would flow really well with those. So I think the value is right in the middle. It is a 3 out of 5 on this piece. Does this have the X factor? Is this a 5 out of 5 statue? You know, it's not. However, I think it may be a 4 out of 5 simply for its presence. It's one of the reasons that I've taken so long to actually sell it, that and the 2 giant boxes. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 because I think the concept and then some of the cool stuff with Medusa, she's just very cool to look at. I really wish I had room for this. Now I do want to keep it. But alas, we'll be letting her go to one of you. So make sure to stay tuned for that video. Again, hit that Mr. X logo right here and hit that bell notification if you haven't. Otherwise, I really appreciate you guys watching, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care.